Hello everyone, welcome to our first Take and Bake craft. I am Anna and today I'm going to bake a pie. At the library you can pick up supplies for one of two kinds of pie, for a cherry pie or apple pie. For this demo I chose the cherry pie. Here's your bag, and let's take a look at what's inside. You will get a baking pan, flour mix, flour for dusting, sugar crystals, and a can of pie filling. So let's begin. There are two ways of making pie dough: by hand and by food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can make the pie dough by hand or by a special pastry cutter. So let's dump the flour mix to a large bowl. Then add butter that is finely chopped. The smaller pieces, the better. And now we work with fingers to incorporate the butter into the flour. Since this is going to take some time, now I'm going to dump everything to the food processor and show you the faster way to make a pie dough. If you have a food processor, you might have two types of mixing attachments. One is metal and one is plastic. The plastic one is designed for making doughs. So I'm adding the plastic attachment, and now I'm dumping the flour and the butter to the food processor. And now I'm going to pulse the food processor a couple of times. And now, when you see that the flour and butter are getting mixed, we can add the ice water. What I did was measure the water and put it for 15 minutes to the freezer, and it turned out perfectly ice cold. And now when we have all ingredients in the food processor, We continue pulsing the dough until it forms nice clumps of dough. It is important not to overmix, so when you see the clumps of dough are already forming, it means that's enough. Now it looks like our dough is almost done. We take the pieces out. And we finish the dough very gently by hand. When you feel that the dough starts sticking to your fingers, it means that it's ready. Now we use the bag of dusting flour and spread some of the flour on the working surface. Now we divide the crust in half and we are going to make 2 circles. What I find very helpful is parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, you can use even a piece of plastic wrap. It helps in preventing the dough sticking. And now, with the use of a rolling pin on anything that is flat and round, if you don't have one, we can make a nice circle. Now, when one circle of dough is ready, we do the same with the second half. Put a little bit of dusting flour on the working surface. Put parchment paper on top and start rolling. Now we have 2 nice circles of dough. They don't have to be perfect and even, as they will be shaped anyway. And now we take the baking pan. We put 1 circle of crust on the baking pan. You will spread it a little bit more than the edges of the baking pan because it will be folded later. Now what I'm going to do is to put the same parchment paper I used for rolling, put the other circle on top of it, and I'm going to put it to the fridge for an hour for the most fluffy and flaky crust. The dough should be chilled. Now, once the dough is finished chilling, we preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we start to finish our pie. We take the can of the pie filling, spoon it out on top of the crust, and spread it evenly. Now I'm going to work on the top half of crust. I'm going to cut even strips to make a lattice finish. And now I'm going to put the pieces on top. If you know how to make a basket wave, you can do it. I'm going to cheat and make it the easy way. I just put even pieces of the dough going one way and I'm going to do the second half of the dough going in the opposite way. If you have any leftover pieces, we can use them now to finish the edges. We fold the edges on top. If there isn't enough dough, add the leftover pieces. Now we can finish the crust by pressing the edges with a fork. This will hold both halves of the crust together, and it will also look nicely on the finished pie. Now I'm going to show you one more step that is optional but very recommended, is finishing the dough with an egg wash. I just put a little bit of water and one egg into a bowl, and I'm going to mix it with a fork. And then brush it on top of the pie. If you don't want to use an egg, you can brush it with either plain water or a milk, but the best results are with egg wash. And now you take your bag with sparkling sugar and sprinkle the sugar on top of your pie. And now our pie is ready to go into the oven. After about 55 minutes of baking, my pie is done. You can tell that it's ready by the golden brown color of the crust and the filling bubbling inside. It seems very tempting to try the pie immediately, but it's important to wait before slicing until it cools off. Otherwise, the top crust will break and the filling will be very runny. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy your pie!